that, we will be getting into the reading and adoption of the draft document, right? So the team has been working tirelessly to consolidate every single thing that we've been talking about, even from the pointers that we gave in the morning to the negotiations that were happening this afternoon, right before lunch. And now we are re-looking at the document again, passage by passage, because we want in unison that when we leave this conference, as we close off Local Conference of Youth on Climate Change 2024 Botswana, we have a standing document that children and young people that were here yesterday, that were here today, that were here online, produce, right? So we're all in unison, the energies are high, and as we read, please take notes, additions, comments, and let's keep the momentum going. I don't want when we're reading, if you feel lost, communicate, right? If you feel left behind, communicate. This is an us document, and it will be representing each one of us in the room, each one Botswana young person, child, who is also not in this room, but is very much affected by climate change, is very much interested in knowing about climate change. But today, as much as we were representing developed countries, developing countries, LDCs, right about now, just reflect, think about it, you are representing a young person from your community. You are representing a child from your region, okay? So as we're working on this document, keep that in mind, and we are being inclusive to every single young person, every single child, disabled, abled, fortunate, privileged, not privileged, right? Every single young person is represented in the room through you. So please make sure that even if you have a comment, you want to write it down, you don't want to raise your hand, but you want to write it down, we have the ushers in the room, we have the volunteers in the room. Make your voice heard. And today is that opportunity for you to do that. With a round of applause, matching the dance moves that we were giving, let's make welcome Boitumelo Marumo to take us through the reading of this paper.
Hello. Hi. I'm going to be using this mic. You may. So, jaaka ne go buiwa dibui di buile ba khedi ba ne ba khela mahoko a khotla a mantle otlhe. We have consolidated all your recommendations, the key issues that you added to the conference proceedings, the recommendations, the demands, into this children and youth statement. So I'll be reading. The thematic areas, they are no longer 7. I'll be reading from here, and I'll go thematic area by thematic area, one section at a time. How wa kanya gore go na le sengwe se re se tlogetseng go morago kana re sa se kwala sentle ya ka ne se discussiwa le ka bua re tsenye mo documenteng. I have here my colleague Tepiso will be noting your suggestions, reviews, additions, and ya ka ntse re tsweletse re bua. Oh, there it is. Yo, ke ta khona go e bala. It's very small. Tota ne ke sa batle go le huralla mme ha ke na choice. This is not the first page. This will be the first page. Ha e kgone go kuduanyana go le go nyenyana. Erra. La e bona lotlhe ko morago ke tlebe ke bala le lona le bala. Le reditse gape. So this is the draft children and youth statement on climate change for COP29. Isimolla ka go bala recalling the Sharm el-Sheikh implementation plan, paragraph 55 on increased funding for adaptation, and paragraph 56, which focuses on loss and damage. The Glasgow Climate Pact, paragraphs 63 and 64, which focus on just a transition and youth engagement, as well as the decisions 23/CP.27 and 22/CPA.4 urging parties to strengthen youth participation in climate processes and enhance the capacity of developing countries to implement climate actions. So based on that, we urge parties to, 1, recognize the contributions from Local Conference of Youth Botswana 2024, which was organized and implemented with the endorsement of the official Children and Youth Constituency of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is Yango, that constituency, and the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources Conservation and Tourism of the Government of Botswana. We also are urging the parties to meaningfully engage with youth from Botswana in national and global climate dialogues, including the drafting of this children and youth statement for COP29, and to use platforms such as the Local Conference of Youth Botswana, LCOY-BW, to empower young people to develop and scale climate solutions tailored to Botswana's specific challenges. So this draft it's not 7 anymore, apologies for that. It's about 11 or 12 key themes consolidated from the consultative processes, including the 2 pre-conference webinars which we had in the past 2 weeks, and also entries from both the delegate and the volunteer applications that we received. And of course, the 2 days of the main conference, which was yesterday and today. These came from the young people of Botswana. With the thematic areas, Action for Climate Empowerment, ACE. The subsection, I'm going to read all the points under it. If I left something, you'll let me know. We urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to empower young people to take leadership roles in climate action by providing them with the necessary skills, resources, and platforms to participate in decision-making aligned with Botswana's commitment to the Paris Agreement. We also urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to strengthen government accountability by ensuring that youth voices, particularly from vulnerable populations and indigenous communities, are considered in the formulation and implementation of climate policies. To address the digital divide and ensure equitable access to resources and opportunities for youth and indigenous groups, especially in rural areas. Digitalization should be used as an opportunity to democratize access to climate literacy and development opportunities for all young people, foster collaboration between government, civil society, and international organizations to promote climate justice and equitable climate action. Encourage governments to promote sustainable development that balances economic growth with environmental protection, particularly in addressing challenges like desertification and water scarcity, with a focus on youth involvement. Ensure youth representation in national climate policymaking and international negotiations, particularly in the development and revision of Botswana's nationally determined contributions, the NDCs, and future Conference of Parties, COP, meetings aligned with Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. Strengthen district-level climate governance by establishing youth climate action committees. Strengthen district-level climate governance by establishing youth climate action committees within each district, empowering young people to lead localized climate initiatives and advocate for context-specific climate solutions. So those are the points under youth leadership in climate action. Did we capture them as they were recommended? If all are in, okay. If all are in agreement, say aye. Aye. And the second point is climate action for children and young people. Brightness. Didn't. I'm what the Climate action for children and young people. Recalling UNICEF's Child Rights and Climate Action Guidelines. Recalling UNICEF's Child Rights and Climate Action Guidelines, we urge parties to, 1, conduct climate assessments to identify the specific challenges children face, including poverty, stress, and educational disruptions. Develop targeted interventions to safeguard the well-being of children and ensure their protection from the impacts of climate change. Strengthen partnerships between government agencies, NGOs, and communities to create coordinated strategies that promote child development, provide quality education, healthcare, and nutrition, and ensure long-term resilience for children in the face of climate risks. Isiame, if you have something to add, please. I need a roaming mic.
Thank you. For me, for that first point, right, is something sugar but technical. I would insert adverse impacts of climate change toward the end. Because we mustn't always assume that at any given time, climate change will always have adverse impacts. So I think we have to state that we are targeting adverse impacts.
Can you read the line and then add that?
Conduct climate assessment to identify the specific challenges children face, including poverty, stress, and educational disruptions. Develop targeted interventions to safeguard the well-being of children and ensure their protection from the, and insertion, adverse impacts of climate change. To line number 3, towards the end.
Where's the red thing is not working. Are you all in agreement to amend that? If you are in agreement, say aye. Aye. Okay, are you all, No?
Yeah, okay, just We were doing adaptation, right? So this listings of challenges that you identify. What we did with adaptation was where you want to list it's fine, but what if there are more challenges or other things? So let's always maybe use the word but not limited to, so that let's say dingwe tse di tla tlang re sa kgone go di bua gwanana kana tse mongwe a ka di buang re sa batle go di add to distort the point. Let's always try to put but not limited to or any other English word to super or the list is ongoing, etc., etc. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
let me add his point. Any other reviews. Conduct climate assessments to identify the specific challenges children face, including but not limited to, right? Poverty, stress, and educational disruptions. Develop targeted interventions to safeguard the well-being of children and ensure their protection from the adverse impacts of climate change. Any other additions to this line?
So that point around adverse addition that he made, I'm fine with it remaining impacts because I'm of the view, no matter how serious or extreme, that's what it is currently saying. We're not only going to ensure that protection when it's adverse, whatever the impact. So I think it should, in my view, it should remain as it is. Good, let's not try to quantify it now and say
the impact.
Action should only follow when it's extreme.
Yes. You have a hand up.
I think we mustn't always assume climate change will always be a bad thing, right? Right now it is a pressing issue. So to have an all-inclusive statement, because the question could always arise, if, let's say, for our region, argument's sake, maybe 50 years from now, we are benefiting from positive impacts of climate change, we have sufficient rainfalls and the likes, and there are no droughts and the likes, then the question would be, what are we protecting children from? If the climate is behaving in a favorable manner. I don't know if that point is picked. Yes. So therefore, adverse. Yeah, from adverse impacts. Because impacts can be positive. Yeah. And when they're positive, then
We can do a vote. Tepito, we can do a vote. How the sentence should read.
protection, then the adverse, it implies the impacts are adverse. So it's fine even if you don't include adverse or bad. Or
Okay. Okay, so all for adverse protection from the adverse impacts of climate change on that first point, all for it reading it that way, say aye. Let's do a vote.
Do they
Okay.
understand? Can you break it
Okay,
down?
so all those who are for the statement reading thus, conduct climate assessments to identify the specific challenges children face, including but not limited to poverty, stress, and educational disruptions. Develop targeted interventions to safeguard the well-being of children and ensure their protection from the adverse impacts of climate change. Alternatively, the statement will not have adverse before the impact. So I want to know all those who are in agreement of the statement, including adverse before impact, as I read it. Say aye. Aye. So this whole section, so we're not adopting that. Ke utlwile sentle, It was only this not going. How it wasn't. Yeah, it was not that loud, guys. It was not. Okay, so who are against it having adverse? Say aye. Aye. It's clear now, so we're not including it. That was what? To the same point.
Oh, okay. Dumelang.
Hello.
Okay, can I just, before I put out my point, just a quick poll. Mobanemba school. Just quick. Okay, Baraba school, by raise of hands, how many of you guys know hydroponics? How many of you have seen it? Hydroponics, okay. So we can all tell, Hukukile Banaba Senior Secondary School. So one thing here, just this year, the syllabus has included climate education and awareness.
Yeah.
So my point that I'm trying to put out is that Banabo Primary School, they do not know of climate smart agriculture or anything much to do about climate. And we have I don't see anything talking about children's awareness or to raise that awareness on climate, adaptation and other things somewhere there. So that is my point.
Thank you so much. That will be, Tapiso is noting. So anything that you think is not included under this subsection. But yeah, the voting part, from with the voting, the floor is against it, the people are against it. So conduct climate assessments to identify the specific challenges children face, including but not limited to. Go ahead, like about poverty, stress, and educational disruptions. Develop targeted interventions to safeguard the well-being of children and ensure their protection from the impacts of climate change. So are we all in agreement with it reading that way? Say aye. Aye. Thank you. The second one is strengthen partnerships between government agencies. Okay, it's like it's strengthen partnerships between government agencies, NGOs, and communities to create coordinated strategies that promote child development, provide quality education, health care, and nutrition, and ensure long-term resilience for children in the face of climate risks. Do we have any additions to that? So all in agreement say aye to this point? Aye. Thank you. Now to communities as a subsection, we urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to decentralize climate policy processes to local government and communities, ensuring that climate resilient development planning is led and owned by every Botswana. This aligns with the Botswana's decentralization policy, National Development Plan, and DP11, Chapter 6 on inclusive growth, and Chapter 10 on sustainable resource management. The National Climate Change Response Policy, NCCRP, the Paris Agreement, Article 7 and 11, and the SDGs 13 to foster inclusive bottom-up approaches to climate action. All in agreement of this statement, say aye. There's a...
I'm going to suggest where we've made reference to NDP 11, because NDP 11 is about to close, and NDP 12 is starting with the new financial year next year, that perhaps we don't reference the short-term plan, Ghana NDP 11, 12, the medium-term development plans, perhaps let's reference the National Transformation Strategy. The National Transformation Strategy is the long-term development plan under which all these NDPs would have to align to. So that would mean, by referencing the main strategy, that means as the country goes into NDP 12, our demand here still remains relevant because we're calling it out. The authors will look at that strategy to see what specific parts of that strategy are we referencing.
Yeah. Yes, all those in agreement of that edit, say aye. There's a hand. You want to say something to the effect of what he said? Can I have a mic to the gentleman at the back there? Ke akanya gore ba ntshubele mic yo, and then they can put another mic on this other side. I get it.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the edit suggested by Tsepi Sokore. Probably, yes, we can keep the transformation strategy, but I would suggest we keep NDP, redire NDP 12. And why I'm saying this, and Hanno Honale, the economists here would agree with me. In the development plan, the strategy, Hadi finance. What is being financed is the National Development Plan. So if you miss the opportunity of getting your agenda within the National Development Plan, you lose the rationale for financing for your agenda. So I suggest we keep NDP, but change it to NDP 12.
We need help.
We can still include the transformation strategy anyway. Thanks.
So there was a point here, Hore, maybe we should reference the more long-term, which will to be the National Transformational Plan. But then he talks about NDP 11. Sorry, in NDP 12, NDP 11. So Hore, it will read thus. Decentralized climate policy to local governments and communities, ensuring that climate resilient development planning is led and owned by every Botswana. This aligns with the Botswana's decentralized policy, National Development Plan 12. I cannot put the chapter right now. National Development Plan 12, the National Climate Change Response Policy, the Paris Agreement, Article 7 and 11, and SDG 13 to foster inclusive bottom-up approaches to climate action. All those in agreement with the statement say aye. Aye. To promote equity and fairness in climate action by ensuring that vulnerable populations, including youth and indigenous communities, benefit from climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. There is a hand.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not sure we can reference a plan that we haven't seen or read. So by putting NDP 12 there, we assume that we've seen it and it speaks to that. So that's something that's doable and legal.
What does the floor say to that? She's actually in the writing team, and we had that same discussion. There's a hand at the back.
Hello, everyone. I'm actually going to agree with her. If there are any people from government, are also part of developing the NDP 12. they could help us clarify that fact. Miki Zore, I think it's still in the process of being completed.
Yeah.
Right now is the transitional national development plan.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the one that's in effect. Since we are going to have another position paper, I think next year, it will be safe to just go with what we have right now. Next year, we're going to include NDP 12. And I also want to agree with Rona Buari. Normally, in terms of our developments, the government finances the NDP 12, the NDPs, the transformational strategy is more like a guiding principle, but not necessarily funded like the NDP. So, but make sure that the NDP is added in that sort of sense. Thank you.
Okay, we have a counter argument at the back. Hora hore ra vota hore re tsenya NDP manga. Is that correct? But there's another hand from the gentleman who raised the point in the beginning.
Yeah, I think maybe I missed the point here where the statement basically is saying it aligns with. So I will agree with him. But instead of NDP 11, right now we are in the, what do you call it? The transitional? Yes. So we go for that. And with the plan next year, since there will be another position paper, then we will reference NDP 12 then. Because process here NDP 12 is currently ongoing. Yeah.
There is a hand at the front.
Hey, Dumela. I think the problem why NDP 11 is because it's short term. Fail. Then how transitional when NDP 12
is on the way.
Yes, it doesn't make sense for NDP 11 in the first place. So I point it's a piece. I think we better compare the transitional, maybe the transitional one layer has a piece of
I love discussions, but we're pressed for time. There is a hand there.
Dumelang. The second transitional national development plan can still be applicable because the period is April 2023 to 2025. So it's still within the range of what we're discussing now. So NDP 11 because period is coming to an end or has already ended. That's why I suggest 12 country. But this one, the transitional one, it's still within the period. So it can be applicable. That's if we are to reference with it.
I didn't get the last part.
Like 2025.
No, get out of my no I didn't hear.
I was saying it's applicable because like 2025. It's more like 2023, like 2025. Unlike the NDP 11, we are trying to dismiss it because period thing is a ifiti.
It's a so.
Oh, okay. I think we should, Kana, the reason why recommend we use NDP 12 was so that for budgeting purposes, so that in future when we're making advocacy calls for financing of A, B, C, D, then we can say young people made this call based off of a national development plan. So I understand Kanyahore, but it's not yet been finalized or not yet been, it's not yet been finalized. But I think we can still mention that an NDP 12 currently in development or yet to be finalized, because it is known that there are sections within the NDP 12 that will speak to the environment and sustainability. So if the issue is it's not yet been finalized, then we can acknowledge that it's still in development, right? So we're making this call to a document that is based on a document that is still in development. I think it's still fine. But we do need to make a call to one that's coming up, so that this declaration is relevant to the budgeting processes, Talahat.
Okay, that's Tsepiso's point. Are we in agreement with that, or do we still think we should go with people are not in agreement with that?
Dumelang team, hela ya ka khantele re ne re bua ka lehoko le la adverse. Re bua gore re ska ra nna too specific, kana too strong, kana too diluted. A re keeping open. Tshepiso a re ha di NDB di dirwa, go na le reference document. Ke re sa dirisi yone gore re togele back and forth. I can remember at the end of the day, la haile NDB 20 oneo, I reference as a tepiso anasibua. Aris karanan specific e. Are togeleng elo open re diriseng lebaka la ga tshepiso.
Because we want to reference it. Okay, what do we say to that one? All in agreement, say aye. So we're not in agreement. To the latest point that was being made, Yahore Riskara, you want to make a comment on Tsepiso's point? Give him the mic so that it's not a two-people conversation.
Okay, it's fine. I was to say, because we are definite about this very chapters, and he was also mentioning that the NDP 12 is on process and ongoing. Now I was saying, if it's so, then you can reference like this and also still highlight where it is ongoing NDP 12 as a matter of English, or you want to also reference into NDP 12 or like the funding again. Or you can stick to NDP 12 and erase the chapters. Whichever way works for us, let's not miss it. The point. What you are trying to achieve here, however we put it.
Okay. So do we have anything to say to that? The current NDP plan. Ebe 12 is in development. I don't know about that. Do you have something to add to the conversation?
Actually,
Personally, I was thinking that instead, let us make it broad. Instead of limiting it to 11, maybe just saying the National Development Plan. I don't know about that. And then not maybe quoting it 11. Yes.
So, but that reference are the larger, 11 or 12 and the chapters, but the referencing wanted to be specific.
11.
Okay. I'm taking 2 last points and then we start voting. The vote, itla rirela makgaola kgang gore statement e sa bala sereng. There is a point there is a hand at the back.
Tota, I just feel gore gongwe ke rona ba re ngakalatsang. The transitional development plan is fine. Nako ya NDP 11 e hedile 2023. So that one tota ra dumala ke dumala le tshepiso tota we shouldn't even be talking ka NDP 11. That one is out. Now ke dumala le point e reng le the ongoing NDP 12 e tla tlang go tswa gore gongwe re ka mentiona NDP kra transitional National Development Plan chapter ga ke le ba kwano. I think it's under the Sustainable Environment chapter, Series Batlang, which is chapter 8 in the second Transitional National Development Plan. Hanka ikana specific to do it, but I think it might be chapter 8 of the Transitional National Development Plan and the soon come NDP 12. I think that's how I see it.
Okay, thank you for that. I hear claps. Okay, so all in agreement, Hore, we should remove NDP 11 altogether, say aye. Aye. Okay, so all in agreement that we should include NDP 12, say aye. Aye. All in agreement that we should also reference the National Transformational Development Plan, say aye. Aye. So the statement is going to read, decentralized policy processes and local government communities ensuring that climate resilient development planning is led and owned by every Botswana. This aligns with the Botswana decentralization policy, the National Development Plan 12, the National Transformation Development Plan, the National Climate Change Response Policy, the Paris Agreement Article 7 and 11, and SDG 13 to foster inclusive, bottom-up approaches to climate action. All in agreement of this statement, say aye. Aye. Awesome. Promote equity and fairness in climate action by ensuring that vulnerable populations, including youth and indigenous communities, benefits from climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. All in agreement, say aye. Aye. I didn't ask for your reviews, I'm sorry. Are there any additions, questions, comments to this? There's a hand there. So it means Horere cancel that adoption, no? Okay.
Okay, good afternoon once again. I see that we've singled out the indigenous communities and youth, but we lack, there's nowhere where we've spoken about the disabled throughout the paper. I haven't seen anywhere where we've touched on the disabled, and in most times, especially with regards to climate action, so I don't know if we've included indigenous communities, why not also include the disabled? Okay.
We have an addition to Tabiso, we have an addition to this subsection, and it's been noted. Thank you so much. Okay, so that means that, let's try again, because Neke can't sit to that one. Let me read it again. To promote equity and fairness in climate action by ensuring that vulnerable populations, including youth, people with disabilities, and indigenous communities benefit from climate adaptation and mitigation efforts. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're good? Okay. Establish platforms for youth from vulnerable communities. Do I assume that I also say people with disabilities here? Because it's the same sentence as the one from before. Okay. Establish platforms for youth from vulnerable communities, people with disabilities, and indigenous communities to participate in climate decision-making process. All in agreement say aye. Recognize the value of indigenous knowledge and promote its integration into national and global climate strategies. Recognize the value of indigenous knowledge and promote its integration into national and global climate strategies. Further, recognize how climate change impacts indigenous knowledge systems. All in agreement say aye. Conduct community-specific climate assessments to understand local challenges and create targeted interventions aligned with Botswana's NDC strategy for localized adaptation. All in agreement say aye. Aye. And lastly, develop sustainability Okay, develop sustainability-focused community projects and events at village and district levels to foster collaboration among government, civil society, and youth. All in agreement say aye. And the second theme, which is mitigation. Recalling Decision 1/CP.21, paragraph 53, which urges developed countries to scale up financial support for developing countries, aiming to mobilize $100 billion annually by 2020 and beyond to enhance climate action and paragraph 54, which emphasizes the importance of ensuring a balance between climate finance for mitigation and adaptation with a significant focus on it's so bright. How much magazine ya look, it is a brightness. Oh, who could it have? No, okay. Mitigation, recalling Decision 1/CP.21, paragraph 53, which urges developed countries to scale up financial support for developing countries, aiming to mobilize $100 billion annually by 2020 and beyond to enhance climate action. And also paragraph 54, which emphasizes the importance of ensuring a balance between climate finance for mitigation and adaptation with a significant focus on increasing adaptation finance for vulnerable nations. I'm gonna read all the points, and then if there's anything that needs to be changed, I guess no balance with the under mitigation. Mobilize, the first one is to mobilize resources to support climate action initiatives focused on mitigation and adaptation, particularly in regions vulnerable to climate impacts such as Botswana. This includes financial support for climate action projects which are led by youth and indigenous communities. incorporate indigenous knowledge into climate solutions, and promote nature-based strategies that enhance ecological resilience, implement land restoration initiatives, and develop policies that foster community resilience and sustainability. Another subsection under mitigation is to expand renewable energy investments. Recalling Article 10 of the Paris Agreement on Technology Transfer and Botswana's national goal for a green economy transition, we call on the government of Botswana to scale solar and other renewable energy sources to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and enhance water security by powering irrigation systems. The third subsection is climate change and entrepreneurship, recalling Decision 1/CP.21, which calls for enhanced efforts in tracking adaptation progress through improved data and reporting. We urge parties to encourage entrepreneurship ventures that utilize waste as a resource, promote waste segregation at the source to facilitate recycling, composting, and the circular economy, recognizing the potential for waste to drive economic growth and create employment, particularly for young people in Botswana and developing nations. Do we have any additions to any of the statements I made? We have a hand at the back. In the middle row.
Okay, hello.
Yeah.
So I noticed that the last point is mainly centered around people who don't go to school and are free to actually venture into those businesses. But for us students who go to school, why not incorporate some of climate change initiatives or business ideas into our curricula, because we have entrepreneurship at school? Why not do that and organize fairs where we can actually pitch our ideas and have them notified?
Okay, we'll note that. Yes, it will be noted under climate and entrepreneurship. There's another theme also that speaks to green jobs. Okay, so with those statements, if everybody who's in agreement say aye. Okay, moving on to adaptation, we urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to embrace the uncertainty of climate change by integrating flexible community-led adaptation measures that build resilience to unpredictable climate impacts, including floods and droughts. Invest in community-based adaptation strategies by empowering local communities to take the lead in developing and implementing climate solutions tailored to their specific needs. Promote sustainable practices in agriculture, water management, and other critical sectors by leveraging indigenous knowledge and promoting resource-efficient, environmentally sound practices. Build capacity at the community level through training and education to equip local populations with the knowledge and tools needed to adapt to climate impacts and develop locally driven climate solutions. To strengthen water management systems by investing in water conservation, irrigation systems, and alternative sources such as rainwater harvesting, aligning with SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation, and Botswana's national water conservation and demand management strategy. And lastly, creating funding mechanisms for youth-led projects focused on climate adaptation and resilience, ensuring these initiatives align with Botswana's NDCs and Vision 26. Do we have anything to say about any of those statements?
We have a question about mitigation. A comment.
Which part?
Which part?
Ga ke bone.
Ke simolotse kwa ntlheng. These are the first 2 points. Tse dingwe ke tse.
Hey.
Should I go back?
Ya go tlase.
Tla ke go godimo.
Sharp gone ho.
Okay.
So like the point there, expand renewable energy investigations. So like in our discussion, when we discuss really the resources say like di temo Botswana. So like some of the things they need leading. Re buile ka eng ke sa gakolo go le senta. Like the thing ya water in Botswana, like water metsi mo Botswana manyane hager. So like the ya metsi yo tota ne re na le gale ne ke kopa re le na lentsi mo teng because like metsi ya le mo Botswana le gompieno na go ga e go ke tswang teng ga gona metsi. So like ena means is e beilwe pele ko because it's not renewable. Ha ke tsorwa ntalo.
I'm not sure, but does anybody has anything to say to that? So we should remove the part where we talk about water scarcity. Do you have anything to add on to that? To enhance his point or?
I'm thinking he's talking about that part where it says enhance water security by powering irrigation systems. Yes, he's right. We cannot be water secure, but we can do water resource management. Yes, so maybe we could rephrase it to water resource management also, but not water security. And that too, powering irrigation systems, research has it that even if we were to power our irrigation system with underground water, we're still facing depletion of underground water, so we still need to manage it properly. Yes.
Let me read it to how they modified it, and then we discuss. Okay, perfect. So it's suggested to read scale solar and other renewable energy sources to reduce resilience on fossil fuels and enhance water management systems by powering irrigation systems. Not by powering. Okay, let me read that. Scale solar and other renewable energy sources to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and enhance water management systems, full stop. Does that read better? Where is the gentleman? There's two hands at the back, in the middle and that side. Do you have a mic there? Okay.
Hello. I think it's fine the way that it is. Scalar renewables. I think it's speaking to the condition of with respect to water resource. It's speaking to how Go Magaeng Didiba are running on diesel-powered engines. I don't think it's what you have been saying or thinking about. It's trying to say, let us increase the uptake of renewable energy such as solar to power Didiba Tsonetseu so that we are not reliant on fossil fuels the way that it is.
I think Khaka heleletsa point ya this delegate. O buile ka kgang ya gore gape le gone go tsaya metsi ko tlase, it's not a really sustainable solution. So yeah, so ya nong ga ke itse gore how do you suggest it reads?
Okay, I understand the point that the delegate at the back is saying, that point alone, it has nothing to do with water resource management.
Yes.
It's basically just talking about we should
Renewable energy
use, yes. So I think we should, it's either it becomes a standalone point, or we just kind of like rephrase it, because at first when I read it, I could not understand it as he understood it. So maybe just for general understanding, I don't know how to rephrase it.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay.
Do you have a question?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Marumo. I just want to ask, since we are talking about underground water and water security, how is underground water to us very important? How is underground water a good idea? Because in rural areas, people get underground water with diesel-powered engines, right? And then they drink it or give it to their livestock, which the water can be contaminated, and it can harm us, give us health problems and that. And people there don't have access to facilities like some of us, like some people who can get underground water and decontaminate it. Thank you.
Okay, there is a question there. Anybody has anything to say about it, or you want to add on to this? There's a hand there.
Mic check. Hey guys, Tota, I feel like we are misinterpreting the point. I guess say the back. We say that point over right. Had the expiring our investments again. So here we're talking about what? The use of solar instead of using diesel power to pump water underground. But right now you guys, you want to criticize the point there, underground water security and everything. So you guys are misinterpreting the point. Thank you.
How do you suggest it reads?
I guess this point in Nagainzela, and then we continue. Hey,
yeah, no. Okay, let's start voting for the interest of time, because it's 7 thematic issues here. So, like scale solar and other renewable energy sources to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Full stop. No. And where do I stop? Scale solar and other renewable energy sources to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and enhance water security by powering irrigation systems. Lerile water management systems, and you agreed. Kibusetsa water management systems voted. It's conflicting. I can't make a call. Tepiso.
I think the gentleman who just spoke and the gentleman at the back who had spoken are right in saying this section, remember the section is around mitigation,
yes,
right? And the subsection is on the expansion of renewable energy. So Kanya water security or water management systems, it's Kanye Longhorhongo Eka Buiwa Hosele. Hana, it should speak about renewable energy sources and reliance on fossil fuels. Whether we change the last language to speak to the point the other gentleman who just spoke, Mehela Kanya water security versus water management systems. You are near adaptation ising her.
Okay, you'll note that. So how do you suggest it reads now?
It's fine.
Because I hear conflicting points. Khat is fine as it is. Khat is not fine as it is. Everybody who agrees that the statement, the way it reads right now, is fine as it is, say aye. Aye. Okay. I'm sorry. Require adaptation. Adaptation to adaptation. So all those in agreement of the statements, adaptation, say aye. Aye. Climate finance, support youth-led initiatives. We urge government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to create funding mechanisms for youth-led projects focused on climate adaptation and resilience, ensuring these initiatives align with Botswana's NDCs and Vision 2036. Enhance financial support for youth-led initiatives by allocating funds and providing technical support to scale local projects, aligning with the Paris Agreement's capacity building framework and Botswana's national climate change response strategy. Another subsection under finance, resource mobilization, recalling the Glasgow Climate Pact, paragraphs 55 and 56, which focus on key commitments related to climate finance and the role of international cooperation in addressing climate change, and the Green Climate Fund, GCF. We urge the government of Botswana to secure funding for youth-led initiatives through partnerships, government allocations, and the GCF, ensuring alignment with Botswana's NDC priorities. Ensure the trickle-down of funds through mechanisms such as community trusts, ensuring resources reach local initiatives. Number 5, technology transfer is another theme. So, climate finance, if you're in agreement with all the statements. No, if you want to add or correct any of the statements, please raise your hand. That was the first hand. That was the first hand. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, once again. So with the funding, right, majority of the time the funding does go out, but it doesn't reach. Okay, I advocate for students because I'm a student. It doesn't reach us at schools, and even if it does, the school management doesn't take into account to actually sponsor what we have at schools, right? So the children would have the zeal, but not have the funds. Even though they're given the funds, they keep it to themselves. So can you find ways to ensure that those funds are given to us at schools, the youth, to do these climate change initiatives and make a change? Thank you.
You're noting.
No, submit where okay, I was in adaptation with my group, so nothing was corrected there despite the submissions we made. So I wouldn't remember everything, so I was asking if you have that document. We were split in groups, right? And we had to critique each and every element. So we did write the amendments to adaptation. So what I'm saying is, they are not there. Despite that, my group did not say anything. I just came from outside, so I was asking if the corrections are there, and I'm realizing they are not there. So what I'm saying is, do you have that? Because the person who wrote them down now left. Yeah, but on the first point is putting, but not limited to, as to where you listed, and other many more points. Yeah, we had put, but not limited to. I agree, there's droughts and floods and other health complications, but they're not there. So that's why we're always saying, if you are to list things like this, always put that phrase to show what.
So embrace the uncertainty of climate change, integrating flexible community-led adaptation measures that build resilience to unpredictable climate impacts, including but not limited to floods and droughts.
Yeah, they want to do it now so that. Yeah, but.
All in agreement.
Other corrections, you get it from the submission. Yeah.
You didn't say anything about climate finance, right? Climate finance. So I'm going to move on to technology transfer, design thinking and innovation in climate action. Recalling decisions 13/CMA.5, paragraph 5A, which deals with innovation and technology development as part of technology framework under the Paris Agreement, and recognizing the need for innovation. The need for innovation and climate action, we urge parties to develop tracking mechanisms to monitor progress in climate action, ensuring that key milestones are met and that adjustments can be made to address challenges as they arise. Foster collaboration and partnerships between stakeholders, including governments and civil society and the private sector, to drive innovation and problem solving in climate adaptation and mitigation. Engage youth in climate action and leadership by promoting design thinking and other innovative approaches that prioritize community-centered solutions and sustainable development. Youth to be capacitated to be hands-on in agricultural processes to bridge the gap in STEM technology for agriculture. Promote entrepreneurship and innovation by organizing community hackathons and providing hands-on learning opportunities that empower young people to address climate challenges effectively. So do we have anything to say about those statements? All in agreement of all the statements under technology transfer, say aye. Number 6 is NDCs and adaptation. We urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to, and if I speak fast, do let me know. We urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to clarify definitions and responsibilities related to NDCs and NAPs to ensure effective and transparent implementation of climate strategies at the national level in alignment with the Paris Agreement. Strengthen the international cooperation to address the challenges of climate change, particularly in developing nations like Botswana, which require external support to meet the climate commitments. Strengthen accountability mechanisms and increase ambition in climate targets, ensuring that governments are held responsible for achieving the goals set out in the NDCs and NAPs. Strengthen climate policies and governance by developing enforceable policies with clear climate goals and timelines, enhancing accountability. This aligns with the UNFCCC Transparency Framework, Botswana's Climate Change Response Policy, and the Pan-African Climate Change Network's Keep Your Promise campaign. Promote climate-smart agriculture and sustainable farming practices as part of the adaptation strategies, supporting Botswana's NDCs and commitments under the Paris Agreement. So that was it about the NDCs and adaptation. Do you have anything to say about any of the statements made? Oh, yeah. I think with this particular group, collecting the notes was quite a challenge, to be honest, because you're already in another groups. But we would welcome them.
May we go back to 4?
gona le hiring, create funding mechanism for youth-led projects. Ne ke akanya gore e kgone go bua le standard 4 le form 4. Create different funding schemes for youth.
Which one is that one?
Yone finance, create funding mechanism for youth-led. Why one? Ano ne ke re gongwe re ka simplify hela e be re create different funding schemes. Emma, ne ke re.
Okay, create different funding schemes for youth-led projects.
Emma.
Focused on climate adaptation and ensuring resilience during this. These initiatives align with Botswana NDCs and Vision 2036.
I get a youth hela children.
Yes. I still think it doesn't well. Okay.
I want to speak to the last line she just said, which is very important. Hare youth children. So every time where we mention youth, we should say children and youth, right? Because some institutions, youth means from 18 upwards. So it's important that we are consistent with children and youth. So it children children and youth, so that we're consistent with children throughout.
Okay. Vulnerable communities, indigenous and people with disabilities. Okay, perfect. They're still discussing. So, okay, do we have anything to say about NDCs and NAPs? We're good? Okay, so all in agreement for the statement said under NDCs and NAP, say aye. Can we try that again? Oh, we're good. Yes. You want to say something? Yes, please.
Okay. Under national determined contributions, looking at the priorities, the latest priorities for our NDCs, I think it would do us good to have a standalone point that talks about sustainable production and consumption.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so I'm gonna try that again. All in agreement with the statements written under NDCs and NAP, say aye. Yeah, Ghana, NAP, and NDC. Loss and damage, landlocked developing countries, youth challenges and practical solutions. We urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to empower youth in LLDCs to take leadership roles in climate action by improving access to resources and technology, addressing the digital divide, and supporting indigenous knowledge systems. Raise public awareness and foster engagement in climate action by promoting youth-led initiatives that focus on the specific challenges faced by LLDCs, including but not limited to, right? Including but not limited to water scarcity, land degradation, and food security. I'm trying to keep consistent with the changes that we've been making. That's why I added but not limited to. Okay. Strengthening the implementation of climate change policies that address the needs of vulnerable populations, especially those in rural and indigenous communities, people with disabilities, to ensure that climate action is both inclusive and effective. Do we have anything to add to this particular thematic area? Elaine, are you here? We have realized, for Modi discussioning, there wasn't much said about people with disabilities. It wasn't in our notes at all. So there was an interview which was done with Botswana Society for the Deaf, or is it Botswana Council for the Disabled, Hakesake, and they had some notes or points that they wanted to share with the rest of the team here. Yanong kiputsa gore, do you want to say them now, ready to adopt, or how is that going to be done? Is Elaine here? Because I feel like disingenuous to just keep saying, and people with disabilities, when there's not a proper, yeah. Okay. For now, but it was done. Loss and damage. So climate communication. We urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to encourage young people to build narratives reflecting Botswana's climate challenges by using accessible language and platforms such as social media, storytelling, and village meetings, bridging technical climate issues with socio-economic concerns. Expand platforms that enable young people to contribute to policy papers and research, ensuring youth-driven narratives and climate action. Do you have anything to add to climate communication? Accessibility in the communication. Talking about people who are blind, people who are deaf. So if we don't have anything to, oh, we have. Why pilano?
Okay, my bad. Okay, so in regards to the social media part, is it open to the podcasts that can be done by? I'm going to be talking about students a lot.
You have to.
Is it open to podcasts that can be done by students in the sense that we can be accommodated for we are not given the chance to actually have that time to actually educate our fellow colleagues or educate the nation about climate change. So can it be incorporated into the curricula, or can it be, I don't know, something to do with it being incorporated in school so that we share the awareness and as youth we're engaged?
Yes, I think we said something close to that effect, the education and capacity building. And that's also okay, that can be done as well. There's a hand this side.
Hi, I don't quite know how I would put this one in, but resourcing. So is we encourage young people to build narratives, but the big challenge would be resourcing, that they can build the podcast, but there's no fund or there's no resources that are available or pegged for supporting that kind of thing, whether it's buying cameras or so. Perhaps we could encourage government to see how, something around resourcing to enable that, though.
Yeah, there really has to be intentional funding that is dedicated to climate communication and for kids and youth, children and
Should we add that as a third point at a later date?
Yes.
Thank you.
I wanted to also, we're updating this on real time. This is the PDF version, but the editable version is being edited as we speak. There's a hand at the back.
Mine is with students that we need to accelerate getting information to the ministry, especially those that are doing broadcasting. So I work with Ministry of Education, the upper primary, and most of the time you find that when we do scripts for radio, the radio shows that happen between 9 and 12 daily, some of the language, because they're not aware of it, they disregard the scripts or they don't want us to air those shows. So I just plead with you to just accelerate getting that information to the higher offices offices and even educating the people in office, because you find that they're very old, they're older people, and when it comes to the information, they're reluctant for us to teach or to share with the students because they're not aware of it, or they're way behind when it comes to information and updates.
Did you see the other hand which was at the back before? It's like there's a mic here. Okay. That has been noted. Thank you so much for that.
The other point I raised the other day is, you know, like when it comes to communication, climate communication platforms, they are there. The problem is that even though they claim that they target the youth and the students and the young children, the problem is that the times you pick to broadcast such or engage in such is when most of us at school, like, or in classes in varsity or at work. So, 9 to 12, I still plead with you to find time, especially on weekends. I know most of you you do this as work as well, but I'll plead with those who own these platforms to do this on Saturdays so that they can engage with the youth, or especially on weekends.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Emma, they're here. So, if there's no other thing we have to add onto the climate communication, all those points, additions have been noted, but if we're all in agreement with the statements we have been made so far on this thematic area, you may say aye. Aye. Awesome. So we have the notes that's so who will be? Yes, can you please bring the mic this side?
You say your name.
Dumelang. Libala on the Sarah Minister Sile. Get a cola pattern la babse. Don't back at challenges are on a hall. Yan tla ke gore ha go le bulana o she ha eta mai le gore kene ha e khone go move ha ona o ka tsielang teng ya bobedi ke kganye ngwe reng ha go le letsatsi matho a september letsatsi le lintsi ha go le mo go le tsidinyana ya rayana ya boraro ke gore it's like ha go le ya ka di vegetable ga di nne sente mo Botswana le thoka la pula. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Lina Lamike Kamogelo Buzwani, ke tswa ko Botswana Council for the Disabled, which is BCD. I'm a social worker gone kwa. So ke tabe ke bua ka some of the solutions tse leng go rontsha one ntsa di bua ka ha tsa di challenges. I'll say in general we should offer support as communities. We should offer support to caretakers by providing all the necessary incentives. We should improve our infrastructures. Infrastructures ki bua ka khanya di wheelchairs. We should make those ramp for wheelchairs and we should fix our roads for people using those white canes. And we have role of stakeholders in various organizations. Us as BCD, we provide psychosocial support to people living with disabilities. We support them mentally and socially. We also offer, or we provide referrals to the disabled people. Haotako, our organization, ole mutwa kapono, ra go referra ko BAPS. BAPS ke Botswana Association of the Blind and Partially Sighted. So we offer this support to them. So it was really good to see Mehale mention kanya disabilities, because it shows we are in this together supporting them. Thank you.
And we've noted that and will include it under vulnerable groups and communities, and also the funding aspect. Now agriculture, key theme 9. We urge the government of Botswana and other UNFCCC parties to promote sustainable agricultural practices, including organic farming and climate-smart agriculture, to improve food security and enhance rural livelihoods in Botswana and other vulnerable nations. Reform land policies to support climate-resilient agriculture and address issues such as soil degradation and water scarcity, which are exacerbated by climate change. I think this is the part where I'm supposed to say, but not limited to. That's what we agreed, right? Yes, reform land policies to support climate-resilient agriculture and address issues such as, but not limited to, soil degradation and water scarcity, which are exacerbated by climate change. Promote climate-resilient agriculture through the introduction of drought-resistant crops and sustainable farming techniques aligned with the UNFCCC's Nairobi Work Program and Botswana's agricultural adaptation strategies. Strengthen public awareness and advocacy around sustainable agriculture by leveraging the technical expertise of FAO to provide support for drought-resistant crops and improved water management systems. Ensure the inclusion of children and youth in sustainable agriculture projects and community-level initiatives aligning with Botswana's agricultural sector development strategy and global climate goals. Package traditional agricultural practices to meet green adaptation standards following Botswana's climate change policy of 2021 and Article 7 of the Paris Agreement. Do we have anything that we can review, add to the statements under agriculture? Okay, all in agreement say aye. Aye. Number 10, building green skills and creating jobs. We urge the government of Botswana to invest in green skill development and create employment opportunities in renewable energy, agriculture, ecotourism, and climate-smart industries, driving sustainable economic growth and resilience. Promote a just transition from fossil fuels that prioritizes green job creation, reduces inequalities, and protects vulnerable communities, aligned with Botswana's NDC focus on low-carbon economy. Encourage tertiary students and youth to engage. To encourage tertiary students, children, and youth to engage in sustainable agriculture. No. So that won't be relevant here, I'm sorry. To encourage tertiary students and youth to engage in sustainable agriculture research and projects in alignment with Botswana's National Climate Change Policy and Vision 2036. empower youth to become leaders in waste management by developing programs that provide the necessary skills, knowledge, and resources to take on leadership roles in the green economy. Was that captured properly? Is there any additions? Yeah.
I don't know how to set it or. Thank you. Because usually the challenge is with the private sector, right? Could we find a way that the government incentivize them so that they adopt green technology? I don't know if the point comes out well. Because that's usually where the challenge is. So imagine if a private company was incentivized, let's say there was a tax cut for using solar panels as an example, or for going green, whatever the case may be. Could we find a way, a language, to insert that so that the government, as a policymaker, incentivizes or encourages the private sector to go green, basically? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Thank you so much for that. There's a point also this side.
Hi. My point is actually similar to what he mentioned. I wanted to say, the government could give incentives to small businesses that are going green or looking at sustainable practices, the tax breaks or subsidies. Because like with this things, you reduce operational costs while also reducing the emissions.
Okay, thank you so much for that. That has been noted as well, right, Tipita?
There's a question?
There's a question? There's a question.
Okay, hi. It's not actually a question, but a comment. I think it also goes to students' clubs that are related to like green skills. It goes out to companies outside to, if they are able, they should like sponsor them when they have activities, either awareness activities or they're working on any green project. They can be, like when sponsored, they can be of that value outside.
That's a great point, well made. Thank you so much.
I would love to say that I would love if the government would allow the youth who come up with initiatives of making sure that they help in climate change, who help to overcome climate change issues, to be given the access, like when they go to schools, maybe let me say, when they go to different schools, primary schools and other stuff, the process should be cut short, because sometimes we invite those people, maybe we want to network with the youth from primary schools, senior schools and all that, and you would leave your letter there and they won't reply. So that kind of thing, I just wanted them to tackle the issue, because it's now making us to look lazy. So that's my point.
Okay, thank you so much for that point. It's noted. So gora gore re di okeditse di 6 yaanong di points under build and green skills and creating jobs. If we all agree with the statements, say aye. All in agreement with the statement, say aye. Capacity building and education, which I believe is the last one. We urge the government of Botswana to embed sustainability and climate change education across all levels of schooling, ensuring alignment with the Doha Work Program and Botswana's climate strategies. Organize training programs and awareness campaigns to build capacity for youth and communities to address regional climate challenges through targeted interventions. Promote climate-smart agriculture and sustainable farming practices as part of adaptation strategies, supporting Botswana's NDC and commitments under the Paris Agreement. Leverage indigenous knowledge systems and integrate them into adaptation strategies, aligning with the Glasgow Climate Pact and Botswana's national adaptation plans. Foster community engagement in waste management and recycling initiatives, encouraging participation through practical learning experiences and the integration of innovative communication strategies such as creative storytelling. Yeah, there's a point here. Oh, there's another hand this side. Who came first? Wow. Hey.
Daisy here.
At the back.
Suggestion, advice. Daisy belongs to Wikipedia Botswana. So we actually want to make Botswana visible mo Wikipedia. So I've been reading the t-shirt. To collaboration with this. So go Wikipedia. Kele Daisy kenna le account, username. So I can actually content I can actually log in and edit on add-on. So what I'm trying to say is you tasked us but in the future, let's collaborate with the already body study mo Botswana le youth and feminism. At our spaces, log in and actually edit. Because right now, I feel we got, you guys, like I'm so, participating, I'm happy. So, I don't know, my moderator, and the one who is in charge of Wikipedia, I had wished for lemon. But hella, ma? Oh, she's here. Come, mama. Come and explain yourself. So ra loga ini, ra edita, ra batsanyabo anesia, ra batsanyabo palesa. Like we have an ongoing competition. If this document, you were to talk to her and actually strategize. Log in and actually write the way I feel is right before you do the final publicizing. So can you pass the mic to her to say something? Baby, carry it away.
Spotlight. Okay, my name is Otenkolovetso. I am a volunteer at Wikimedia Community User Group Botswana. We are a non-profit organization. It create content about Botswana and Botswana in an open source, the Wikipedia. So what we do is we write content regarding everything and anything in Botswana, from people to climate change to anything else. Go Wikipedia, Rebecca in different, Rebecca with different projects. Honali Wikipedia yoneka sebelebele is our main page. Research how the definition content there is created by people like us, volunteer content there on Wikipedia. So Rehana, because we have a page at Climate of Botswana. We want to like, it's like we do a summary
of everything concerning climate ya Botswana gona mo paging eo ke page e leng gore we collaborate mo go yone re le Batswana re le ma-Africa le batho ba ba tswang ko ntle tota they can add content there regarding climate change mo paging yone eo e leng teng mo Wikipedia. So gora re se Daisy a le kang go se suggest ke gore next time go ka nna le a document e leng gore is created e betsengwa mo digital spacing e be go neelwa batho di edit rights gore ba collaborate mo go yone to add information into that document, just like we do go Wikipedia mo leng gore we create a page and everyone else can collaborate and add content to that page. Thank you. Okay, in the interest of time, let's keep it short. So I think also another thing that we should establish, the last presentation, I still haven't received the notes.
Oh, sorry. Mongwe kio are shy, so kita mala on kita balon heavy.
Yeah.
I appreciate the discussion on the Botswana Youth Position Statement on climate change. However, I'd like to highlight a critical gap regarding accountability. In my experience, we lack robust laws and the enforcement necessary to hold individuals and organizations responsible for environmental harm. It's crucial that we not only propose new policies, acts, etc., but also ensure that existing laws are implemented effectively. As a criminal, I believe that accountability extends to communities that protect those who violate these laws. Without these measures, our efforts may be undermined. So my question is, how can we incorporate stronger accountability mechanisms into our position statement? That's from Bipelo Leswena. I hope I didn't butcher your surname.
Yeah. We have three hands.
Okay. Okay, so mine is I might have missed it, but it's the on the thematics.
Walter, can you please make notes of that? Can I note that thing? Submit it to the writing team. If you can, yeah. Because there's another session after this as well, I believe, and it's already almost 5 p.m.
Okay, so my question or my comment was on the thematics. Maybe I might have missed it, but I didn't see the, when we're talking of health, I didn't see the intersection between health and climate change, which is something that I believe that we might have missed, and it's very important for us to include health when we're talking climate change, especially when now we're talking about mental health. We know that we go through, or people in these areas that are going through body drought there and all these, they're going through a lot of both PTSD and just being worried and anxiety of going through that whole thing. So it's something that we should look into, because it, in the long run, it affects the community and also progress for all of us. And also when we're looking at the different NCDs that are there. For example, I am an advocate for an HIV advocate, so I believe that when it comes to HIV prevention, we're not doing much, or we have very limited options in Botswana. For example, if now we could look into climate change, how it's been affecting us, and look at the different options for increase and not just use PrEP, orally, the condom, why not look into long-acting injectables as an option for those that are facing these adverse climate changes or these harsh conditions, instead of drinking pills every day. So those are some of the issues that I believe that we should look into when we're looking at health and climate change.
Yes. You can give us feedback. Is it in written format? We can maybe think of a creative way to collect all all the missing reviews and editions? Is it either on a Google form or on some sort of community document? I am sorry that I have to do this, but in the interest of time, we have to wrap this up. I don't know if it would be right to say we adopt this. Okay, cool. So all in agreement of the statements made here, you can say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. That is the draft children and youth statement for COP29. You will hear about the final document after incorporating all the other edits. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Boitumelo, for that. And thank you very much for all your contributions, right? As I did say at the start of this session, it was very interactive and we were representing every young person, every child, all across Botswana, so that their voice is also heard. So right about now, as we did mention, we have a tree planting segment that we need to get into doing. But because it's happening outside and my program is just at its tail end, I want us to then do a closing remark and then we go with our, and then we do the closing remark, we go down, we plant the tree, we take selfies with the tree, and then we come back, take our snacks, and then we leave, right? So that's the plan that we have, so that everything that we do from now, we're just done with the formalities. All you'll be doing will just be grabbing snacks and then you say your goodbyes. All right, so with that, let's make welcome Mutusi Sekomba from Global Shapers Gaborone Hub, who is the head of projects and development. A round of applause for Mutusi, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. As we draw this remarkable gathering to a close, we are not just whipping up the LCOY-BW 2024, but we are planting seeds for a sustainable future. Each conversation, each idea shared here is a testament to our collective commitment to shaping a world that not only meets the needs of today, but safeguards the future and promise of tomorrow. For all your commitments, for all your collaboration and your participation in this conference, in this two-day conference, LCOY Botswana 2024, really drives us towards a sustainable Botswana. I want to send a special thanks to our sponsors, that's UNICEF, Pan-African Climate Justice, as well as the Ministry of Environment, Wildlife and Tourism, as well as the Sanita, the organization that just donated the trees that we're going to plant after this session here. To the youth leaders who joined us today, your voices has been the heartbeat of this conference. Your passion and innovation solutions are a beacon of hope, illuminating the path forward and fight against climate change. It is our energy and determination that will drive the change we so desperately need in this world nowadays. And also to our esteemed speakers, coordinators, your insights have been invaluable You have challenged us to think critically, act urgently, and dream boldly. Let this conference be a catalyst to action as we return to our communities. Let us carry the lessons learned and the connections made, and I urge you all, each one of you here, oh, sorry about that. Let this conference be the catalyst of action. So as we return to our communities, let us carry forward the lessons learned, the connections made, and I urge each one of you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, everyone who is here today, everyone who made it to the two-day conference, let us be the change makers our world needs. Let us advocate for the sustainable practices. Let us educate. Let us lead by example. LCOY-BW might be ending today, but our journey is just beginning. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you all for your commitment to a greener, more resilient future. Let us make this happen.
Thank you very much, Mutusi, for closing LCOY 2024 Botswana. And with that, we have definitely done what the theme was meant for us to do, from learning to leading, right? I believe this last segment of adopting this document was the part where we led. And also, we have a Facebook group, outlet, Bato, what do we have it called?
Hi, it's just a quick announcement. So at last year's LCOY, one of the things that came out, people said they wanted a space where they could continue to interact like this, and we started a Facebook group called Youth for Climate Action. The link has been shared in the group. Please join it. It's your community, and it's not Sustain 267, it's not BCCN. Interact on it, share what you're doing, share events, share everything. Please join it. Okay, bye.
All right, thank you. That means that's where the larger group and the larger interactions will happen. So let us just make sure now to all go downstairs to the entrance area. That's where we will be led to, where we are now going to plant this amazing tree that's been donated. And then we take amazing photos and we call, and then from there we close LCOY 2024 Botswana, right? So let's go and plant the tree, and then that's when we can hooray and say a great cheers to the close of such amazing interaction, such amazing networks being built, and continuous work around sensitizing and making us all aware about climate change and climate